Thought we got stronger as the game went on in all three phases. Man, we made plays in all three phases. Last night we talked about A-player performance, particularly on stages such as this, primetime television and so forth. And I just thought we had a lot of guys that displayed A-player characteristics. Can't say enough about young Beanie Bishop, man. That's an awesome evening, man, for him to get his first 2 interceptions versus a gold jacket guy like Aaron Rodgers, man. We're just appreciative of the work that was done tonight to make the night what it was. Hopefully there's growth in this as we move forward, man. But it's good to get a win.
And when they did, Mike Tomlin pushed his chips into the middle of the table, benched the 4-2 quarterback, starts a guy who throws for 264, 2 touchdowns, ran for another. And the Steelers at 5-2 atop the AFC North. We'll see what happens with the Baltimore Ravens tonight. And joining us now to get into all of it is our friend, Mark Kaboly. He's brought to you by Bet365. Also, the injury lawyers of LGKG. LGKG, Western PA injury lawyers for over 90 years. LGKG.com. Kaboly wearing his For the Brand sweatshirt here, courtesy of Pat McAfee. I hope he's paying you in more than just sweatshirts, my guy.
Oh, man, I got the big old swag bag the other day from the old Shop 412, the place down the south side where they do their business with. But before I say anything, I just want to say 3 words. Wow, wow, wow.
Yeah, you did say
what happened?
You said this is how it would go. You said Russ was the guy, that it made sense. I still think, even if Mike Tomlin didn't have to think long and hard about it, if this was predetermined, as we discussed earlier, Doran, I still think it takes a lot of nuts to sit down a 4-2 quarterback, man.
I don't think that is, because I don't think that Justin Fields showed enough to be able to be that guy that was just clear and free of being that guy of being 4-2. I mean, I think he got a lot of help. There was a lot of ancillary things that happened to make them 4-2. Just because they were 4-2 doesn't mean to me that Justin Fields made them 4-2. So I don't think it was that big of a decision when you just see the body of work that you saw from Fields Wilson over his career and even into practice, even into some of the OTAs. That's exactly what we was expected. I said that. I don't even know where I said that recently. I said, you will see immediately the difference between Fields and Russell and how they throw the ball. And you saw it almost immediately.
Did you?
Maybe after the 3rd series, but you saw it.
Like, after the 3rd series, I mean, there's a lot of people. There's people booing. I mean, it looked like I know, it is ridiculous. It looked like he needed to knock some rust off, which any football mind would expect that he would have rust. But did you feel like whenever those 3 series went down and he wasn't looking great, did you feel like, oh, well, maybe he doesn't have it? Did you ever have a doubt in your mind?
Oh, of course you're going to have a doubt early on right there, because you had the look of he wasn't really getting the time. So you were looking, okay, everybody's saying that the offensive line and he didn't have the legs that Justin had to be able to escape from that. And that came to fruition early in that game. He was getting early pressure up the middle, but then they started to move him on the run outside the pocket where he was very good at. Mm-hmm. And a lot of people said, well, Russ is, cooked. His legs are done. He can't move. Well, we see that that's not 100% true. Justin Fields is obviously at a different level when it runs the ball, but he's very capable enough, Russell Wilson, to move himself out of the pocket. And when you take some of those deep throws, man, you don't have to be good. You just have to give that guy, and that guy is 14, an opportunity to make balls. And I don't know if Justin decided he didn't want to do that, he wasn't allowed to do that, or he couldn't do that, but he didn't do that, which then Russell was able to do that, and that just changes the game.
We talked about it on Friday, Doran. So many folks said this is going to alter the Steelers' running game for the negative. Without a guy to have to contend with numbers-wise in Justin Fields who can pull the ball and run. But we talked about if you start hitting deep passes down the field, if you start hitting play action, he went 8 of 9 on play action from under center, that's going to open stuff up in the running game. And you brought this up earlier in the show. This is how they envisioned it.
Mm-hmm.
Play action, get him on the move, deep shots, run the football. It wasn't a perfect game offensively because of the slow start, but you can attribute a lot of that to rust. Other than that, it was pretty much exactly how they drew this thing up. And I feel better about the Steelers right now than I have since 2018, Mark. How do you feel?
I have to think about what happened in 2018.
It was the Saints game. I
Oh,
thought
Joe Hayden game.
yes, with the bad calls. And I thought if they had won that game and they had gone to the playoffs, I thought they had a real shot. That's the last time I felt as good about them as I do right
The
now.
infamous, you don't want to meet them in the playoffs type of situation.
Correct.
But yeah, I mean, another thing is you see that throw he threw to Calvin Austin was nobody within 20 yards of him.
You're right.
I saw that 2 or 3 times earlier this season, and Justin didn't see it. I mean, that doesn't mean it doesn't diminish of what that play was, that because Wilson was able to see it and able to deliver on that play. But you're right. I mean, this is how they want to see it. And another thing that you look, what was impressive to me is that running game was not working early. Basically, the pass set up the run. And you don't normally see that very often. They were run blitzing hard. They were playing, obviously, a lot of man coverage there. Their offensive line was just getting eaten alive early in that game. Give them credit for being able to turn that around. But that's the first time I've seen in a while that the passing game set up the running game. You open it up, score some points with the passing game, then you close it down with the running game. That's what they did.
That's exactly how they want to operate. And I may have talked to somebody before the game that said that that's exactly the approach that they wanted to take. I can't tell you, but like that is exactly the approach that they wanted to take, and it made a lot of sense. I mean, you want to get Russ going, right? So you throw the ball and you get him into a rhythm. Even if it doesn't look good, you keep doing it. And then whenever you find that stride, then it's like, okay, we're going to close this game out with Najee. We're going to close this game out with Jalen. And that's the identity that they want to have. And what's the stat? They Fields to Wilson under center?
Justin Fields had been under center for 44 snaps this season through 6 games. And Wilson was under center for 41 in this game. I mean, that's the offense.
Yes.
That's who they want to be. Here's the other thing, and we had theorized about this for a long time. If and when Russ is in there, are they going to tell him, hey, protect the football, check it down, be conservative, or are they just going to say, go sling it, and because you're not going to put the ball in harm's way? And I think we got our answer. It was the latter. He threw the ball down the field a ton. I can't think of a single ball that was in danger of being a turnover-worthy play. Not one. Am I wrong in that? I don't think there was one ball that could have been picked off.
Well, a couple of those jump balls, if George Pickens wasn't a freak, I guess you could have said it could have come down one way or the other. But those are still 50-50 balls, probably 60-40 balls when you look at that way. So, yeah, I mean, you're right. I mean, he put him in position to be able to do that early in games by throwing the ball down the field and taking control of the ball. I think it does speak a ton of